So I just got home from work, just got home from the day job. This week was so busy at the day job, just so busy. So this vlog is going to, yes, be a Solar Queen writing vlog, but it's also going to be a pagan New Year vlog because today is February 1st, the day that I'm filming this, and it's the full moon in Leo, so that's pretty neat. And tomorrow is a pagan holiday. Some call it Bridget's Day, some call it Imbolc. I personally like the name Candlemas, even though that does have more of a Christian connotation. I just really like that name. Basically, it's the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Some might call it a false spring. This is when I really consider the year to have turned. In a sense, the year is always turning. That's why us pagans often follow the wheel of the year, because the seasons are always turning. The year is always turning in some way, shape, or form. Every pagan is a little bit different. Some pagans don't follow the wheel of the year at all. I personally do follow the wheel of the year. I really love the wheel of the year. And if you're reading the Sun and Moon Saga, or if you've read any of the Tales of the Sun and the Moon, the Sun and Moon Saga is my fantasy series, and the Tales of the Sun and the Moon is my collection of fairy tales and short stories set in the same setting as the Sun and Moon Saga. But if you're familiar with my writing, then you probably know that I love the wheel of the year. And for me, Hallows Eve, or All Hallows Eve, or Halloween, that is the end of the year. That's kind of the death of the year. Whereas Candlemas, or Imbolc, or Bridget's Day, or even Groundhog Day, because I think this is Groundhog Day too, this is the rebirth of the year. And this is where we start heading towards spring. Even though it doesn't feel like we're moving towards spring, we are in fact moving towards spring. We have to trust that spring is coming. Candlemas is really like the promise of spring. That's how I always like to put it. And Yule, the winter solstice, Christmas, that's basically just like a point in the middle of the darker half of the year where, because the weather outside is frightful, we gather with people who we love and we eat good food and we give gifts and we listen to good music. That's what Yule or Christmas or whatever you want to call it, that's what those winter holidays mean to me. So the year ends, or the year dies on Halloween. At Yule, we just kind of find that warmth within ourselves and within each other and within the food we're eating. And then Candlemas, where we're at tomorrow, the new year truly begins. So as much as I love New Year's resolutions, for me, tomorrow is New Year's Day. Now, I have actually been thinking about how I want to spend 2026. I've been thinking about that for like months now. Honestly, since like last September, I've been really having a think about how I want to spend 2026. Not just what I want to work on, but how I want to show up for it. So it's not like I'm just setting a bunch of arbitrary resolutions and arbitrary goals that, you know, are just like random and I just picked them because they sounded good. But like, these are things that I've been thinking about and meditating on and honestly already slowly implementing. I just kind of see Candlemas as like a portal into the new year. Like, I've already been moving in the direction that I want to move in. Tomorrow is just a day to sort of like pause and really put myself in that energy. Today is my Friday. I'm really excited because I actually have an extra long weekend. I have the next 4 days off. I'm so excited. I really need it because I'm honestly very tired. I've been tired for about 2 weeks. I've been fatigued for about 2 weeks, teetering on the edge of burnout for about 2 weeks. But knowing that I have these 4 days off and that I have fun plans for them has really gotten me through the hard work days, both hard at my day job and hard because I mean, when I haven't been at my day job, I've been spending my days off, often doing like 9+ hour days at my computer, getting Aurora and Luna ready for the re-release in May. Because if you don't know, I published my first book, the first book in the Sun and Moon saga. I published it in 3 installments. The book was huge and I didn't really want to put it all out at once. So because the book was already divided into 3 chunks, into 3 shorter installments, and because those 3 shorter installments were all different enough from each other where I felt like they stood out enough from each other, I thought, why not release them as 3 novellas and then do a re-release of the whole book. So that's what I did. And I started this publishing process in 2024. In 2026, May 1st, 2 years after I released the first installment, The Misfit Princess, I am re-releasing the whole book, Aurora and Luna, all 175,000 words or however many words of it that there are. And I'm really excited, but publishing, especially publishing such a long book, when you get to the point where you're formatting the book and tweaking it and trying to make it as perfect as possible and as special as possible for the reader, like not just the story, but just the way it's formatted, you know, like adding page numbers, adding the book and chapter titles at the top of the page, like all those little nitty-gritty details that like you might not necessarily think too much about as a reader, but they do make the reading experience more special, or at least more enjoyable and like comfortable. All of those things take tons of time, and also some of them are tricky. Like they're easy enough, but they're finicky. And basically I've just spent a lot of my days off recently just sitting at my desk and tweaking little things like that. Also scanning the maps that I drew and stitching those together because I have to scan them in parts because they're too big, and getting the book cover ready. Not just finishing the art and scanning the art, but also adding the text. Yeah, I illustrated my own book cover, and I will share the cover soon enough, but for now it's available to the Lunar Coven. The Lunar Coven is my Patreon and my Substack. It's the same content on both. You just pick your preferred platform. It's a really great way to support my work, including this channel, but also my writing and my music and my illustration and just all the creative things that I'm doing. So thank you so much to the people who are in the Lunar Coven. Thank you so much. The money goes back into the creativity and back into the business. Okay, I've gone on a bit of a tangent. Where was I? Oh, right. So the reason why I have 4 days off is because basically I usually have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off from the salon, off from my day job. But every year, at Candlemas, I like to get my tarot cards read. And there's a specific reader that I like to go to downtown in the city where I live. But she only works Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I work Thursday through Sunday each week. There's no way that I can really see her. I mean, one year I did go at the end of the workday, but I greatly prefer taking the day off and kind of making a staycation of it. Before getting a tarot card reading, it's really nice to kind of be in my own energy. When I went at the end of my workday that one time, I felt a little frazzled. When I have the day off, I feel like I can really like enjoy it and like go in there feeling really good. I just feel like the whole experience is better because of that. I took the Thursday off to go get my tarot cards read. I like to do this at the start of every year on the Pagan New Year on Candlemas. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's always a fun experience. I typically just do this about once a year because, you know, it is pricey to go get your cards read, but I think if you can afford it, it's really fun to get a professional reading. I read for myself all the time, but having someone else read your cards for you, yeah, it's really special, and I really like the reader who I see. She's really good. So I have an extra long weekend, and like I did last year, I am treating it as a nice, cozy staycation, and specifically as a creative retreat, by which I don't mean I'm gonna try to get like a million things done, because that's what these last 3 or 4 weeks have been. These last 3 or 4 weekends have been me just frantically trying to get things done by the end of the weekend. That's not what this weekend is going to be, and that's not what this vlog is going to be. This is very much going to be like a reset. This is very much going to be me filling up my cup and then creating from that space, which I haven't really done for like almost a month now, because I've been on a schedule to get things done, to get the cover done, to get the maps done, to get these illustrations ready to go, to get the book formatted. Like, there's just been so much stuff like that. This weekend, what I really need is to just like go at a slower pace, fill up my cup, and then fill it up so much that it runs over and I create art, and to not force myself to create longer than I really want to take breaks when I want to procrastinate making my art. Like if I wake up tomorrow and I just want to read for like 3 hours, then that's what I'm gonna do. And then eventually I'll do a little bit of writing, but it's not about hitting a certain word count goal this weekend. It's not about getting a certain amount of things done. It's literally just about reconnecting with my creativity in that really raw, authentic way. That is what this weekend is all about. And that starts with tonight. Tonight is going to be a delicious, lazy, cozy, relaxing, rejuvenating, restful night in. I think I'm gonna hop in the bath. Normally I would make dinner right now, but I didn't get to eat my lunch until like very late in the workday because I was just back-to-back booked and just running around, just crazy, and I didn't get to eat until late in the day, and I'm just not that hungry. So I think what I'm gonna make myself a nice cup of herbal tea, hop in the bath, and take a nice long bubble bath. Just have like a nice long soak and just read. Just get into a book and just enjoy that book. And just read slowly, like not trying to get a certain amount of chapters right. Just like enjoy every word and just enjoy the soak and enjoy the smell of the essential oils and enjoy the taste of the tea. Put on some nice like soothing sounds or music in the background. I often listen to Skyrim atmospheres in the background while I take a bath. If you play Elder Scrolls, you'll know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. These last few Fridays, I have kind of prioritized staying up late and playing video games and having a lot of fun with that, but I haven't really been tending to my physical body the way that I should, and I'm really feeling it. I mean, I've been having tons of fun with my Switch, and I love that. I love that for me, but I think tonight it would be better to like take a bath, read a book, maybe like don't stare at a screen all night, and go to bed early. Sometimes it's good to prioritize that joyful, borderline hedonistic self-care, but I think right now what I really need is to prioritize that like peaceful health and wellness type self-care. There are different types of self-care that work better for different times and different circumstances, and tonight I definitely just need a bath and a book and a cup of herbal tea. Oh, and some vegan chicken strips. I'm really looking forward to these vegan chicken strips. Chicken strips have been my favorite food since I was a little kid. I don't eat them very often anymore because they're very processed, but once a month or so, I let myself enjoy some vegan chicken strips on a Friday night. Just takes me back to a simpler time. It is going to be a weekend of food, I will say that. I'm doing breakfast for dinner one night. I think I'm gonna make scones tomorrow. It's gonna be a weekend of food, creativity, rest, and play. But I'm gonna go enjoy that bath now. I don't think you will see me until tomorrow morning. So yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Ratty, said Mole suddenly one bright summer morning, if you please, I want to ask you a favour. The rat was sitting on the riverbank singing a little song. He'd just composed it himself, so he was very taken up with it and would not pay proper attention to Mole or anything else.
scones are in the oven and I'm just frying up a vegan sausage. Honestly, I'm having the coziest, quietest, most pleasant, wholesome morning. I made myself a lavender Earl Grey tea latte, a lavender London fog. I like to call it a fairy fog latte when I put lavender honey in my London fog. I call it a fairy fog. I made myself one of those in my special reading mug. Sometimes all you need is a good book and a cup of tea. I had my cup of tea in this and I read the first chapter of The Wind in the Willows, which is my favorite book of all time. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of different books that I love, but if I had to just pick one book, I always say it's The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. Oops, I accidentally burnt my sausage a little bit. Oh well. It's a children's classic. I read fantasy, obviously, but I also love to read classics, specifically children's classics. The Wind in the Willows, Peter Pan, Beatrix Potter, all those kinds of books. I just love them. I just love them. And I also love to read comics. Those are probably my three favorite genres for reading: fantasy, children's classics, and comics. So quite a range, but I think they all have that sense of wonder about them. Even though The Wind in the Willows is not technically a fantasy book, I would personally argue that it is. I mean, I guess it is because it has anthropomorphic animals, but even beyond that, there's just this sense of wonder and this sense of magic, like natural magic. And I actually always say that The Wind in the Willows made me a pagan. The Wind in the Willows made me a pantheist. If you've read the chapter Piper at the Gates of Dawn, you know what I'm talking about. I really don't have time right now to get into everything I love about The Wind in the Willows, but it's my favorite book. I love anthropomorphic animals, number one. Number two, I love children's classics. And number three, I love nature and I love books that really encapsulate nature in a beautiful and authentic and almost spiritual way. And The Wind in the Willows is the ultimate book that does that for me. I know Lord of the Rings is probably that book or series of books for many people, but for me it's The Wind in the Willows. I mean, The Lord of the Rings also does that beautifully, don't get me wrong, but The Wind in the Willows just captures something about nature that I love to read. It's very poetic, it's very symbolic, and it just fills me with a sense of wonder when I reread it every single year. And I do reread it every single year at Candlemas, and every single year at Candlemas or around Candlemas I make scones, and it's just a really, really lovely tradition. And that is one of the things I love about being pagan, is that I feel like when you're a pagan, you get to kind of make a lot of your own traditions, and you get to kind of pick and choose and bring things into your spiritual practice that may not necessarily be like inherently spiritual. Like I get to bring in this favorite book of mine into my spiritual practice, and I get to bring in baking, a hobby of mine, into my spiritual practice. I've been making scones and rereading The Wind in the Willows around this time of year for like, gosh, I think for like almost 10 years now I've been doing it. I think I've been doing it since 2018. Yeah, like religiously since 2018. And it's a really beautiful tradition that I love. So I'm just cooking myself a sausage, and then I'll make myself some more tea. I'll prepare a scone for myself, and I'll go and sit and continue reading and enjoy my scone, enjoy my tea, and just enjoy my quiet, cozy morning. Oh my god, it feels so good to take this time for myself, especially after these last few weekends, which have just been very, very busy with like busy work. It feels really good to just take this slow-paced morning, this slow-paced weekend for myself. I had the best sleep, by the way. I slept so deeply. That bath really helped relax my body, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the weekend and really looking forward to the rest of it. It has just been the most glorious, laziest, yet still somehow creative and focused day, and this is exactly what my soul needed after those last few weekends of very disciplined work. My soul really needed to just like take things at a slow pace and still create, still show up for my dreams, but not be like grinding and hustling the way I did these last few weekends. I've been drawing for the bulk of the afternoon and I feel really good about what I've drawn. I spent the morning reading, baking scones, reading some more while eating scones, reading some more, practicing yoga, and then reading some more. So yeah, I just had a really lazy morning and also a screen-free morning, which I love. It's gotta be said, I spent a lot of January looking at a screen because I spent a lot of January playing video games. Throughout January, I was still reading, but video games were probably my main hobby. And going forward, I intend to keep playing video games on a very regular basis. I mean, I've been playing video games for a long time, since my childhood, but I had a couple of years where I kind of pulled away from video games. I'd still play them occasionally, I never fully stopped, but I just didn't play them that much because I was busy with adult life, and also I was very much caught up in the productivity / self-help / business entrepreneur world. Video games are kind of shamed there, like they're kind of seen as a waste of time. But back in 2024, I remember I hadn't played video games for probably well over a year at that point. I had a mental breakdown one day. In that mental breakdown, all I wanted to do was play Oblivion. And so my boyfriend, he's very flexible, even though we were supposed to record music that day for our album, which is now on Spotify. We did eventually get it done. So it was okay that I took that day off of recording. I still got the album done. You can listen to us on all streaming platforms. We are Ghost of a Girl, and our album is self-titled Ghost of a Girl. And we also have an EP out called Tragic Divine. I would love it if you went and listened to our music. But basically, on that day, even though we were supposed to go into the recording studio and get some work done for the album, we did go to the recording studio, but I had a mental breakdown due to my borderline personality disorder, which these days, for the most part, is dormant. But every now and again, it'll get triggered, it'll spring up. In that breakdown, all I wanted to do was play Oblivion for some reason, even though I hadn't played Oblivion in like literally years at that point. That's all I wanted to do was play that because that's my favorite game. My boyfriend, he's very flexible, so he took us back home. He was like, yep, go ahead, play Oblivion. I'll go work on a song on my computer because he's got tons of different music projects he can work on. And then I started playing Oblivion for the first time since, gosh, 2021? I don't even know. Throughout 2024 and 2025, I have been gaming, although not consistently. I would game in little spurts. You know, I might play a game almost every day for a week and then not play for 2 months. And then that would kind of cycle. By the end of 2025, I realized that video games are important to me. I really do see them as a work of art, just as I see a book as a work of art, or a movie as a work of art, or an album as a work of art. I see video games as a work of art, and I'm very inspired by them in my writing and also in my artwork. That's why I decided to get a Switch. It was a little bit of an impulse choice, but looking back, I can see how this was building and building and building. I was eventually going to get some kind of new modern console, and right now the Switch just seemed like the best one for me. I will eventually upgrade my PlayStation when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, if Elder Scrolls 6 ever comes out, but that's a whole other can of worms. So anyway, all this is to say, because I got a Switch at the start of 2026, I was so excited about it that I spent a lot of January playing the Switch and also just playing other video games on my other consoles and on my computer and on my 3DS, because getting a Switch didn't just make me want to play Switch games, it made me want to play all the games. And I had so much fun in January, although I definitely think that I overdid it a little bit, because there were times when my body was screaming for a bath, an early bedtime, and no screen, and I was playing my Switch because I was kind of prioritizing that joyful hedonistic self-care over that health and wellness body-oriented self-care. So this weekend thus far has been so nice because it's been almost entirely screen-free. I've read a lot and I did a bunch of drawing. It's just been nice to draw and to just take the work at its own pace. So the first thing I did was I did a copy of this illustration, which I believe is by Ernest Shepard. He illustrated Winnie the Pooh, like the original Winnie the Pooh, not Disney Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, I did a copy of this drawing. I'll put a picture of the original on screen somewhere. And I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I wanted to experiment with his hatching and cross-hatching, and it just felt like a good way to warm up. It had been a while since I had started a new drawing, so I just wanted to warm up with some sort of little fun experiment. And I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out, although I will say the oar needs to be in the center of the boat, but I just didn't really think it through because I wasn't really strategizing the drawing like I normally try to do. Typically at the beginning of a drawing I'll think it through a little bit more, but with this one I just kind of worked on impulse, and I am happy with how it turned out. But yeah, if I could go back, I would move that oar to the middle of the boat. And then this is the other drawing that I was working on. This is an illustration for a project that I don't really want to talk about right now. Well, it's not that I don't want to talk about it, it's that I can't talk about it because I'm trying to keep it a secret. But as I've mentioned in previous vlogs, I am bad at keeping secrets. I'm an oversharer, but yeah. Started working on this drawing. It's a stormy sea, and it's hard to tell right now because it's still in pencil, but that is a boat that is being violently tossed into the air, and I am feeling pretty good about this. I like the way that I'm approaching the waves. I think it suits the medium that I work with, which is felt pens and pencil crayons. So yeah, I've been drawing for, I don't know, probably 2.5 hours. I think what I'm gonna do now is kind of retire for the day and do some gaming. I've had a nice screen-free day thus far, but I think I have earned a nice cozy evening spent gaming and just having some fun. I'm not gonna do any writing today. I may not even do any writing tomorrow. I haven't written anything for the Solar Queen in over a week, which feels crazy, but I was doing 10K word weeks before, so I'm not behind. I'm definitely on track, and I think the space away from the manuscript is going to be really good. I think it's going to mean that I write a good ending, a good climax. Time away from my creative projects always seems to help them. That said, I definitely miss writing, but sometimes I really do have to take a break, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of tonight. So I will talk to you most likely tomorrow. While today was a day in the house, tomorrow is going to be a day out of the house. I'm going to be hiking with my boyfriend, and I think we're also going to check out this cute little coffee shop, and then we're gonna come home and do our band practice, which is just us in our living room playing an acoustic guitar and singing. But that is where we practice our songs, and that is where we write our songs, and we have a couple of songs on the go. We also need to practice our covers because We're recording a cover EP of a few covers that we've been doing for a long while now that we feel really proud of and that we want to document. So we're actually going into the recording studio next weekend. So yeah, tomorrow night at our band practice, we will hopefully finish at least one of these songs that we're working on and also tighten up those covers a little bit more before we head into the studio next weekend. So that's the plan for tomorrow, and I will see you there. Until then, I'm just gonna be having a super cozy, lazy, geeky night in playing video games. What did you get, Eric? What's on your vegetarian pizza?
Vegetables.
And what did you get to drink?
Small latte.
Small latte?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it's just like Italy,
It's a lot like Italy, yeah.
but much more expensive than it is in Italy.
That's true.
In Italy, all of this would have been like less than $20.
You mean all of ours?
Like all of ours together would be less than $20 Canadian. In Italy?
Yeah.
And this would have been like, I don't know, like $4 in Italy. I got a mocha with oat milk and no whip and a vegan chocolate chip cookie. So I am just waiting in the car for Eric to return. We had to make a stop at the Uptown Mall on our way back from our hike, which was lovely, by the way, and the coffee was lovely too. But we had to stop to pick up cilantro for this doll that I'm making, and we also needed oat milk. And because we were here and we were just at the mall, a place I generally just try to avoid, I decided to get myself a new pack of pencil crayons. These are the pencil crayons that I work with. A pretty cheap brand of pencil crayons, costs about $20 Canadian for this 100 pack of pencil crayons by Creatology. This is what I use for my illustrations alongside a Sharpie multi-pack. I just try to keep my materials on the cheap side right now because I'm trying to make art frequently. I'm not making it as frequently as I would like, but I'm trying to make it frequently and not be too precious about what I'm using because I'm still learning and I'm still learning the basics. So I'm trying to just keep my cost of materials low so I don't feel like this great amount of importance every time I go to use them, if that makes sense. Now that I've been working with these for just over a year, I'm also really used to the specific shades. I like these pencil crayons and that's what I'm working with right now. Maybe eventually I'll start getting nicer pencil crayons, but for now, these are working just fine. So I picked myself up a new pack of these because I'm doing a lot of illustrations right now for that secret project that I am not talking about publicly yet. And I also, at the gift shop that we checked out, because there was a gift shop right beside that coffee shop, I also got myself some vegan chocolate. Take it on the other side. Take it on the other side. Take it on. Take it on. How long will I slide? Separate my side. I don't. So I have been writing longhand. I don't want you to read what I've been writing, but I have been writing longhand. This is something that I do when I don't feel totally in the flow with my writing. Like if I feel a bit disconnected from what I'm writing or just from the writing process in general, writing longhand is something I will do to get myself back into that flow. I have spent the last month grinding. Every weekend, pretty much, I've had a big to-do list, things I've needed to get done, mostly in the interest of getting Aurora and Luna, getting that ready to go. That, coupled with the fact that I was doing 10K word weeks for the last, I guess for the last month or so, I've also been doing 10K word weeks. I got exhausted and I teetered towards burnout, and because of that, once I finished the formatting for Aurora and Luna last weekend, I decided to take care of myself, myself both as just a human but also as an artist, and I decided to take my work week off of writing and instead spend those early morning hours that I would usually spend writing before going into my day job. I decided to spend them reading. So I spent last weekend formatting Aurora and Luna and finalizing all that. So I didn't do any writing last weekend because I was busy doing that. I'm learning to not overload my plate. And then to recover, I spent my work week reading, because the best way for me to get inspired to write again is just to give myself time to read. Reading other people's words, be they fiction, be they non-fiction, be they in my genre, be they not in my genre. It just always helps me want to put words to paper for my own projects. So I think that was the right call, because it really did help me stay sane and recover from the crazy workload that I did last weekend. But it also meant that I spent a week not drafting the Solar Queen and not doing any writing at all. And then this weekend, Monday, I did drawing, as you know. Tuesday, I went for a hike and I had my Ghost of a Girl practice. So I created, but not drafting the Solar Queen. So today I'm getting back to drafting the Solar Queen. Yeah, the best way to get into the flow for me, it's writing longhand. It really does the trick, especially if I'm feeling a little rusty or a little dry or a little uninspired. Writing longhand, something triggers in my brain. It takes me back to being a child and writing short stories longhand on the expensive printer paper that we had, and my mom would get annoyed with me for using the printer paper, but then she would also be quite pleased with me for writing short stories. So I have written just under 2 pages, if you count one side as 1 page. Whenever I write longhand, I don't worry too much about how much I'm writing. I just worry about getting into the headspace of writing, and I do feel like I'm there. When I first sat down to write, it felt a little bit daunting because, well, not only have I not written in a week, but I'm doing something totally new. The last chapter I wrote, when I finished that chapter, I didn't totally know what I was going to write next. Based on the last chapter that I finished writing, we're not quite ready to move into the epic climax yet. There needs to be a little bit more of a build-up. However, most of that build-up is likely going to be the main characters going through their magical training. I just don't know what to teach them. I know where they're going to go in the future. I know the direction we're going in. I know what their fully actualized selves will look like. I know what magic they will eventually learn, but I don't know how much of it they should learn in this book. I want them to learn more than they learned in the last book, or more than they knew in the last book, so that it's interesting, but I also don't want to have them learn too much, because then there's nowhere for them to go, and the rest of the series just won't be that interesting. And something that I have realized through reading fantasy books and also just playing fantasy games, magic works the best when the magic that the characters or that you, the player, are learning ends up being required for the climax of the story, for the climax of the book or the game or what have you. I want the magic that they're learning in these lessons that I'm going to have to eventually write before the climax. I want them to be things that they are going to need for the climax. So I'm writing out of order, and I've never done this before. I'm skipping these lesson chapters because I don't know what to teach them, and I'm jumping right to the climax, and I'm writing the climax. And then when I go back and do my developmental edit, I will write those missing chapters because I'll know what they're gonna need to get through the final challenge, if that makes sense. As I said, I've never written out of order before, so this is really, really weird. On my first draft, I've always written chronologically, so this is very odd, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but it just seems like the right thing to do right now. So because of that, I started writing the climax just here, and that was pretty daunting. But writing longhand really helped me get into the flow and get into the mood. I'm now going to type this up, and I'll continue writing as long as I feel inspired to do so. Oh, I finished The Wind in the Willows this morning. This is my copy of The Wind in the Willows, my favorite copy. I have multiple copies, of course, because this is my favorite book. This is my favorite copy because it was illustrated by Ernest Shepard. Yeah, I finished my reread of The Wind in the Willows this morning while drinking 2 other fairy fog lattes. And this time around, I have been in this other copy of The Wind in the Willows that I have, and I've been bookmarking passages that I find very moving because eventually I would like to write and create a video essay on The Wind in the Willows, why I love it, why it's my favorite book, why I think it's just beautifully written and that the themes are perfectly executed. Yeah, I love this book and I want to write an essay on it, so I've been bookmarking pages and highlighting passages just to kind of get my brain going, thinking about what I would want to say in that essay. But there's one particular passage that I read this morning that I would like to read for you because I feel like it really applies to just the vibe of my writing session today. Presently, the tactful mole slipped away and returned with a pencil and a few half sheets of paper, which he placed on the table at his friend's elbow. "It's quite a long time since you did any poetry," he remarked. "You might have tried it this evening instead of, well, brooding over things so much. I've an idea that you'll feel a lot better when you've got something jotted down, if it's only just the rhymes." The rat pushed the paper away from him wearily, but the discreet mole took occasion to leave the room, and when he peeped in again some time later, the rat was absorbed and deaf to the world, alternately scribbling and sucking on the top of his pencil. It is true that he sucked a good deal more than he scribbled, but it was joy to the mole to know that the cure had at least begun. That's kind of where I'm at this morning when I'm writing longhand, and anytime I'm writing longhand, that's kind of where I'm at. I might be sucking on the end of my pen a bit more than I'm scribbling, but the cure has at least begun. I wrote 617 words today, so that's a tiny writing day for me. That's that's basically nothing, but I know it's not nothing. I know for me, at least, showing up and just writing that little bit of something, that is actually, in a sense, just as good as showing up and writing thousands of words, because for me, generally, I write the best if I'm showing up every day, even if it's just for an hour, even if it's just 500 words. That's when I write the best because I get into the flow, and when I come to write tomorrow, or maybe I don't write tomorrow, maybe I take tomorrow off and really make that a me day. when I come to write Friday morning before work, it's just gonna be so much easier to slide into the project gracefully than it would have been if I didn't show up and do that work today. So I didn't write a ton today. However, I did get the climax off to a solid start. I'm feeling really good about the words that I did write. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that for today because I have been working really hard lately and I need some me time. And maybe I will write again. Maybe I'll write again tomorrow. Maybe I'll write again today. Or maybe I'll just take the rest of this cozy weekend for myself. Again, this weekend, it was a creative retreat, but it's not about just like getting things done and writing thousands of words. There are weekends that are creative retreats that are very much like that, but this weekend was about finding my footing again and just getting settled into my creative practice after a hard month of grinding and getting ready for Aurora and Luna's re-release. The timeline for this works out perfectly because, okay, I have been doing 10,000 word weeks for all of January, except for this last week of January. And the reason for that is when I initially started drafting the Solar Queen, I gave myself a year for drafting, a year for revising, and a year for editing and polishing and formatting, hoping to get the book done and published in 3 years. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case because originally I thought, okay, if I have an outline, then surely I won't need to do as many developmental edits as I did for Aurora and Luna. And no, I'm probably not going to need to do as many developmental edits as I did for Aurora and Luna, but I still am going to need to do a lot of developmental edits. And it's not just that I need to do a lot of developmental edits, it's that I want to do a lot of developmental edits. I actually find that for me, the dev edit is where I do a lot of my best creative work and where a lot of my best creative ideas spring up. It's an essential part of my creative practice, and maybe that means that I'm slower to get a book out to the public, but I think for me, I do a lot of my best creative work in my developmental edit, and I don't want to take that away from myself or deprive myself of that. I mean, I do want to finish the book in a timely manner, but I think for me, a year and a half to 2 years for a developmental edit is actually more suitable and appropriate, and I actually think that drafting faster is in my best interest. As I get into the flow with writing, the faster I write, the more words that can come out in shorter periods of time. And it's better to just like get into the flow and stay there. Getting into the flow can be a little tricky, you know. I just had a 600 word writing day because I haven't been showing up and writing every day. But once I've been writing the book every day or almost every day for a while, and once I'm really into the project, I can draft very, very, very quickly, and I just really get in the flow and I really get inspired, and I get this feeling of exhilaration and almost this like manic excitement as I near the end of the manuscript, and I want to write from that place. And it is a messy place, but I want to write from that place rather than trying to get this very, very high quality first draft that I don't have to edit as much, because for me it's actually more fun to write in this borderline manic rapid way and then to slow down and be more methodical as I do the developmental edits. I still like writing from an outline, and I still think having an outline was the best decision for this book because it has really helped. But I think when I started writing The Solar Queen, I thought I had to fully pivot, fully do a 180 and go from being a discovery writer, which is how I wrote Aurora and Luna and how I've written most of my books and short stories, to being an outliner. I thought I had to do a complete 180. I think I just thought that that's what I had to do to write fantasy. I know that's not how all fantasy authors work, but I think I just thought that that was the best way to work. And I am seeing the pros of having an outline, and I do like having somewhat of an outline, at least for certain projects like this one. But I also like working on instinct and intuition and impulse, and I get more into that mode when I'm drafting really, really quickly, and also when I'm slowing down and doing a very, very, very thorough developmental edit. So in hindsight, I think it would have been better to draft this book in 6 months and to then give myself 1.5 or 2 years for the developmental edit. But that's any creative project. You always learn something about how to do it more effectively and efficiently the next time. As much as I love to be efficient, creativity is a learning process. So yeah, it's okay that I made this mistake and that I've been drafting this too slowly. Now, I know that some people are going to be like, you're not drafting that slowly at all, because I have written, at this point, borderline 140,000 words, and it is February 1st, 2026, and I started at the beginning of July 2025. So it's been like 7 months, and hey, that's a lot of words for 7 months, at least by some people's standards, and I don't want to like discount that because I don't want to make anyone feel bad about not writing this fast. It's just, for me, I am a fast writer, and that's just my way. Sometimes I like to slow down and write more slowly, like I did that today. But most of the time, once I'm in the flow, I like to just type frantically, and that's just kind of my style. My brain goes 1,000 miles a minute, for better or for worse, and I kind of like to use that as a superpower when I'm writing. And then do a lot of the cleaning up and the refining in the developmental edit. I kind of realized that at the end of December, so I started drafting 10,000 words a week instead of the 5,000 that I was doing before. I started drafting 10,000 words a week in January. That was so that I could finish the first draft not by midsummer of 2026, but by Ostara of 2026. So not by the summer solstice, but by the spring equinox, which would be 3 months sooner than I originally intended, because originally, as I said, I gave myself a year for drafting. So I'm picking up the pace, and I'm glad to be picking up the pace, because I would like to get this book, the first draft, finished sooner, so I have more time to budget towards the developmental edit. I still don't know if I'll get it done in 3 years. That's kind of an arbitrary guideline. It might take me a little bit longer, or maybe I will get it done in 3 years. I don't know. The quality of the book will always be prioritized over the rate at which I publish. But yes, I am now trying to get the first draft finished by the spring equinox, so 3 months earlier, and going forward, I am going to draft my books more quickly, which I prefer, and spend more time doing the developmental edit, even if I have an outline. Now, the reason why I say this works out so perfectly is because I'm just counting on my calendar. We've got this week, and then we've got 3 more weeks in February, and then March, 1, 2, 3 weeks before the spring equinox. So there's 7 weeks until the spring equinox. I have about 60,000 more words that I anticipate I'll write for the first draft. This week is a bit of a write-off because I am taking this slow, luxurious, creative retreat, and I'm not necessarily getting a lot done externally, but I am getting a lot done internally. So even though I'm not getting a lot done on my projects, I'm getting a lot done for myself, which will then in turn allow me to get a lot done for my projects. Take care of the artist and the art will come. So this week is a bit of a write-off. I'll write as much as I can Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before work, but then that leaves 6 weeks before the spring equinox, which means I can continue at my pace of about 10,000 words a week, and I should get the climax of the book and the ending of the book written in that time. I mean, maybe it won't take that many words. I might get it written in 20,000 words, not 40,000 words, but I just don't know yet. I want to just give myself that budget of words and budget of time, and then I'll see how it actually goes. So I might finish sooner than that, but I think worst case scenario, I'll finish right at the spring equinox, which will be perfect. I think this is the 6th Solar Queen writing vlog, and if you've watched all of them, you'll know that I've gone through highs and lows with this project, and there are highs and lows to any big project, and vlogging is a strange form of therapy for me because it allows me to learn my cycles and learn more about myself, both as an artist and as a human, and to learn what I need to go through the process of creating these big projects. Okay, I was gonna talk to you about the 5 of Swords, but my camera is going to die, so I'm gonna charge it up and have some lunch, and then we will chit chat about the 5 of Swords. It's actually the next day. I forgot to film more last night. Just kind of got absorbed in the book I was reading and the video game I was playing. I replayed Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for PS1 this weekend, and not only did I defeat it, but I also 100%ed it, so feeling pretty good about that. It's been a very productive weekend. I'm about to leave to go get my cards read now. I'm feeling excited and a wee bit nervous. Before I go though, I wanted to talk to you about the 5 of Swords, which is my card of the year. So I really see the 5 of Swords as being a card of warning against winning the battle, but then in turn losing the war. And I feel like this is a lesson I have been learning slowly and sometimes painfully. As a writer, what I mean is not getting so caught up in the petty grind, the petty work, the shallow work, not getting so caught up in those petty wins that I then neglect to do the things that maybe don't feel as urgent, but are actually very, very important and very, very vital to the career of an author. If you've been following me on this channel for some time, you'll know that I have been pulling away from social media more and more. Social media has really burnt me out, and really the only forms of social media that I like are YouTube and, if you count it, podcasting and blogging. I only really like long form content, both creating and consuming, but I have gotten sucked into the allure of short form content many a time, and I think it's because it always seems so urgent. It always seems like such an urgent battle to be fought, but when you prioritize winning that battle, it's very likely that you're going to lose the war because it's just not that important. It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of your career as an author. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't any benefits to having a successful Instagram or TikTok page. I think if it's going well for you and if you're enjoying it, you should keep doing it. But for myself, I'm not very good at it. I don't enjoy it. And it just distracts me from the deep work that I have to be doing and that I like to do. The other meaning of this card, I think, is, for me, about setting boundaries and saying no to things that maybe seem tempting in the moment or maybe seem important in the moment, but that I know are just going to distract me from my bigger goal. Things like gossip and workplace drama and petty squabbles and petty pursuits. I have wasted a lot of time on those kinds of things. Things that can seem really, really important. Things that do have a real toll on your nervous system, but actually don't align with what it is I truly value This year, the cards are asking me to really set some firm, strict boundaries with myself about those things. Like, even if I can't get rid of them in my life, like, I do work a day job, so sometimes there is workplace drama. I can't completely eradicate it from my life at this point in time, but I can shut the energetic door to it, and I haven't always been good about doing that in the past. That's just one example, but I really feel like this card is asking me in 2026 to be very shrewd and ruthless with what it is I say yes to and what it is I say no to. I definitely would have preferred to draw like the Ten of Pentacles or the Empress or something fun like that, but I know when I draw, I don't want to say a bad card because I don't believe in bad cards, but I know that when I draw a card that's maybe a little less savory, I know that there is a very important lesson to be learned. I can look back on the previous years and birthdays where I've drawn cards that are like kind of and there's always really, really crucial lessons to be learned. And until I learned those lessons, I wasn't able to move ahead. Like, for example, in 2023, for my card of the year, I drew the Two of Swords, and all year I was battling with the decision that I didn't want to make. Do I continue to pursue traditional publishing, or do I self-publish? And it wasn't until 2024 that I had finally made the decision and finally learned the lesson, but that was a decision that allowed me to move forward in my life and move forward in my author career. And I think this card is going to be kind of similar, where it's like there's a big lesson to be learned here, and until I really learn it and really integrate it, I won't be able to move forward both in my author career and in my life. But that's my interpretation of this card. Let me know if you have any interpretations yourself. I am now going to go walk downtown and get my cards read professionally. I'm going to be looking for parallels and synchronicities and also clarity around what this could mean. I always try to look at everything. My own personal readings, the reading I get professionally, the astrology, just intuition from my higher self. I try to look at it all and take it all into account as I'm moving through my life. It is a beautiful day today. The sun is out for the first time in perhaps days. So yeah, I'm going to go walk downtown. I'm going to go walk by the river and listen to some good music. Perhaps get a tea downtown before my reading if I have time, and then go get my cards read. So I just got back from the tarot card reader, and as always, it was a wonderful experience. I really like my reader. She just kind of says it like it is. I like how candid she is. My reading for the year, though, it was overall pretty positive. It does align with my reading of the Five of Swords as my card of the year. There was a lot to the reading. My reader says a lot and goes into a lot of detail and gives a lot of examples, but what I am taking away from the reading that I would like to share with you is that I feel like I'm often in this energy where I feel like I really have to prove myself, prove that I'm good at what I do, prove that I work hard at what I do, prove that I love it enough. It's like I think that there's some arbitrary level in all those things. My talent, my passion, my work ethic, that I have to hit in order to find success. And it's not that those things aren't important. Passion and talent and perhaps more importantly, skill and work ethic, they're super important for achieving any goal. The thing is though, I have those wheels in motion. I am extremely passionate about what I do, and I also have really good habits. What has come up in a lot of the readings that I've given myself lately and the past couple of readings that I've gotten from this reader is that I need to be okay resting more and spend more time really like processing what I'm feeling and not just be in my mind all the time. And I think how this applies to the Five of Swords, like how this relates, is sometimes you gotta shut that door and not continue to fight a losing battle for the sake of winning the bigger war. I think for me, I need to just like, yes, work hard, and yes, create my art, and yes, hone my skills, and yes, let my passion come out of me. But I also need to have periods in my life where I shut off and I just let myself breathe. And it's not that I don't ever do that, but I definitely struggle with taking that time. I'm definitely a workaholic. Creating those moments of pause where I feel like in those moments, like, I can actually receive, but only if I let go and I truly surrender to the moment. Because like, as much as I love my work, and as much as I want to pour my everything into my work, I can't actually literally pour my everything into my work. I also need time to just be outside. Like, it was just so nice today to just walk downtown in the sunshine and get a tea and then read. And, you know, it's okay to sometimes just have those moments where I am just enjoying my life. I mean, in those moments, I'm still a writer, and I'm still looking at the world through the writer's lens. If you're a writer, I think you'll know what I mean by this, or if you're an artist, I think you'll know what I mean by this. But at the same time, just like letting myself kind of go into a different mode, at least as much as I can. Sometimes that's actually where the magic happens, and that's where the breakthroughs come. The other night, I was playing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I got a huge, like, capital P plot point idea for not the Solar Queen, but the next book in the series. And as irrelevant as that might sound, because I'm still writing the Solar Queen, that's actually super important for me to know, because I like a series where you can reread the series and see the seeds for events that will happen in future books. So all this is to say that I think sometimes I make the most progress when I seem the laziest, and other times when I seem the busiest, I'm actually getting nothing important done. And I think that's a lesson I've been slowly but surely learning. I think that that's part of this Five of Swords theme for the year. Knowing when to shut the door on things that don't really truly matter to me. Whether you read tarot or not, I'm curious to hear what you think of the ideas that I've been talking about here. I think I'm just meant to shed this skin of capitalism and the ideas that come with it, like ideas of productivity and how we're supposed to work. Like, that's not how work is for me as a writer, as an artist. I have a different workflow, and sometimes that's a 10,000 word day, and sometimes that's just showing up and just writing the bare minimum, like yesterday, my 600 word day. And then other times that's just like a nice steady 2,000 word day, 5 days in a row. Learning to go with my own flow, and I think that's why it's so important that I really listen to my emotions, and that I really clarify my emotions, what it is I'm feeling, and I'm not just in my analytical brain all the time. I think this is where I'm going to end the vlog. It is now my Sunday, in the sense that I have to go back to work tomorrow, which is sad. I would like to just stay in this dreamy, writer, creative mode. I mean, I haven't actually done tons of creative work this weekend. It was mostly me resting, but I think as I just talked about, I think that's what I really needed this weekend. I think I really just needed to rest and like do a little bit of creativity when it felt right, but mostly just rest. Like today, I haven't created at all. All I've done is read and drink tea and get my tarot cards read. Now I'm making a delicious dal. Got some naan bread dough here, and I'm just gonna have a very chill evening inside playing video games. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. All of my links are in the description. Links to my books, links to my music. Also, there's links to the Lunar Coven, which is my Patreon and my Substack, if you would like to support the channel and the rest of the creative work that I do. And if you would like to start reading the Sun and Moon Saga, as I said, my books are in the description. But also, if you join my free newsletter, you'll get sent the prologue and chapter 1 for free. It'll just show up in your inbox, and then you can start reading it right away. So yeah, lots of stuff in the description. Check it out, and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the like button for me, and please leave a comment. I just love reading your comments. I don't always get back to them right away, but I absolutely love reading them, and I love chatting with you guys. Also, I just feel like I should say that when I walked downtown today to get my cards read, it was sunny for like the first time in days, and it very much felt like spring. It actually got way too hot. I had to rip off my scarf, and when I got to the coffee shop, I had to rip off my cardigan and just like sit still to try to cool down. But I mean, despite the fact that I was too hot in February, it was beautiful just to be in the sunshine and to be down by the water. And I very much felt like the mole in The Wind in the Willows when he says hang spring cleaning, and he goes up into the world and he's out in the sunshine for the first time that year, for the first time I guess since last summer, and he's walking around and he's just taking everything in, and he's just enamored with everything and just totally taken by the scenery. And that is how I felt when I was walking downtown to get my tarot cards read today. I very much felt like the mole in the first chapter of The Wind in the Willows.